Have you ever felt trapped by a situation you didn't create? Falsely accused, with the truth buried under layers of lies? It's a heavy burden to carry. A feeling of being stuck while the world moves on, whispering your name for all the wrong reasons. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, all praise belongs to Allah, Lord of all worlds. May peace and blessings be upon our Prophet Muhammad, his family, and his companions. We ask Allah to accept our fasting, our prayers, and our efforts, and to fill our hearts with sincerity and light. The story of the Prophet Yusuf, or Joseph, peace be upon him, continues with him facing this very test. After proving his innocence when the wife of the high official, the Aziz, tried to seduce him, you would think his ordeal was over, that the evidence, his shirt torn from the back as he fled from sin, was not enough to silence the powerful. Instead of justice, a new chapter of trial was about to begin. A chapter that would take him from the shadows of accusation into the darkness of a prison cell, all as part of a divine plan far greater than anyone could imagine. News travels fast, especially scandalous news. In the city, the elite women began to gossip. Have you heard about the wife of the Aziz? They would say. She is hopelessly in love with her young servant. She has lost her mind over him. The whispers were a mix of mockery and judgment. They couldn't understand how a woman of her stature could be so infatuated. When these rumors reached the wife of the Aziz, she was filled with indignation. But instead of shame, she felt a cunning desire to expose their hypocrisy. She decided to set a trap, not for Yusuf, but for the very women who were judging her. She prepared a grand banquet and invited all the women who had been speaking about her. She seated them comfortably, provided them with luxurious hospitality, and placed a piece of fruit and a sharp knife in front of each one. The scene was set. The women were relaxed, enjoying the feast, completely unaware of the test that awaited them. Then she called for Yusuf. "Come out before them," she commanded. When Yusuf, peace be upon him, walked into their presence, the women were utterly mesmerized. They had never seen such beauty in a human being. They were so captivated, so lost in their astonishment, that they lost all sense of their surroundings. Unconsciously, as they gazed upon him, they began to cut their own hands with the knives they were holding, not even feeling the pain. Looking up from their trance, they exclaimed in unison, "Glory be to God! This is no man. This can only be a noble angel." In that moment, the wife of the Aziz had made her point. She turned to them and said, "This is the one you blamed me for. I did try to seduce him, but he resisted. And now, if he does not do as I command, he will surely be imprisoned and be of those humiliated." She had exposed their weakness to prove her own point, and in doing so, she cornered Yusuf once again with an impossible choice. Imagine the pressure. The most powerful woman in the house, backed by the now implicated elite of the city, giving you an ultimatum. Commit a great sin, or face public humiliation and the darkness of a prison cell. What would you choose? What would I choose? The easy path of transgression, or the brutal, lonely path of integrity? Yusuf, peace be upon him, did not hesitate. He did not rely on his own strength or willpower. He knew that the only refuge from such a powerful temptation was the Almighty himself. He raised his hands and made one of the most profound prayers in history. He said, "My Lord, prison is more beloved to me than that to which they invite me. And unless you turn away from me their plot, I might incline toward them and be of the ignorant." Think about those words. Prison is more beloved to me. He chose physical confinement over spiritual destruction. He preferred the walls of a dungeon to the stain of sin on his soul. This is a timeless lesson. There is good in every hardship. The days you feel trapped, the days you feel you have no choice, are the very moments you can find your true strength in the Almighty. And so, his Lord answered his prayer. not by saving him from prison, but by saving him from sin. They imprisoned him, even after they had seen all the signs of his innocence. Prison was meant to break him. It was meant to be a place of despair and forgotten souls. But for Yusuf, it became a new platform for his noble character to shine. He didn't become bitter or resentful. He didn't curse his fate. Instead, he became a source of comfort and guidance for the other inmates. His righteousness was so evident that everyone recognized him as a man of God. 2 other men were thrown into prison with him. One was the former cupbearer to the king, and the other was the king's former baker. One night, both men had strange and vivid dreams that left them deeply unsettled. Seeing the piety and wisdom in Yusuf, they approached him. "Indeed, we see you to be one of the doers of good," they said. "Inform us of the interpretation of our dreams." Here, Yusuf teaches us another powerful lesson. He saw an opportunity. Before addressing their immediate worldly concern, the meaning of their dreams, he addressed their ultimate spiritual need. He used this moment for Dawah, to call them to the truth. He asked them, "Is it better to worship many different lords, or to worship Allah, the one, the prevailing?" He reminded them of his noble lineage of his forefathers Ibrahim, Ishaq, and Yaqub, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Peace be upon them all, who all carried the same message of pure monotheism. Only after establishing the foundation of faith did he turn to their dreams. He showed that our connection with our Creator is the most important knowledge we can seek. Having reminded them of their Lord, Yusuf then gave them the interpretations. To the cupbearer he said, "As for you, you will be freed and will once again serve wine to your master, the king." Then he turned to the baker with the difficult news, "And as for you, you will be executed, and the birds will eat from your head. The matter has been decreed." His interpretations were direct and certain. He then made a human request to the one he knew would be saved. "Mention me to your king," he said to the cupbearer. He hoped that the king, upon hearing his story, would grant him a fair hearing and release him from his unjust imprisonment. And just as Yusuf had foretold, it all came to pass. The cupbearer was freed and restored to his position. The baker was executed. But then, a new test began for Yusuf. A test of patience. The cupbearer, caught up in his new freedom and duties, was made to forget by Satan. He forgot to mention the innocent man in the prison. And so, Yusuf, peace be upon him, remained in that dungeon for several more years. Are you feeling stuck and down in the dumps? Are you focusing on the disappointments, on the people who forgot you or let you down? Yusuf's story teaches us to let go of what holds us back. His reliance was never on the cupbearer. It was always on God. This delay was not a punishment. It was part of a divine timing that would lead to a far greater victory. Years passed. The world outside the prison moved on. Then one day, the king of Egypt himself had a dream that shook him to his core. He gathered his advisors and chief priests. "I have seen a vision," he announced. "I saw 7 fat cows being devoured by 7 lean, frail ones. And I saw 7 green ears of corn and 7 others that were dry and withered. Explain my vision to me, if you are able to interpret dreams." But his wisest men were baffled. They had no answer. A muddle of dreams. They dismissed it. "We are not skilled in the interpretation of such visions." The entire kingdom was at a standstill, troubled by a riddle no one could solve. It was in that exact moment of collective failure that the plan of the Almighty unfolded. The cupbearer, who had forgotten his promise for all those years, suddenly remembered. "I will tell you its interpretation," he declared to the king. "Just send me forth." He rushed to the prison, to the man he had left behind years ago. God's timing is perfect. The forgetfulness of one man was the very key that would unlock the door to a nation's salvation. The cupbearer explained the king's dream to Yusuf. Even now, after being forgotten for so long, Yusuf showed no bitterness. He simply listened, and with the knowledge granted to him by God, provided the answer. "The dream is clear," Yusuf explained. "You will farm for 7 consecutive years with great abundance. But you must store what you harvest, leaving it in the ear, except for a little that you will eat, because after that will come 7 years of severe hardship, a famine that will consume all that you have stored, except for a little that you have preserved for seed." He didn't just interpret the dream. He laid out a complete 14-year economic plan to save the nation from catastrophe. He demonstrated not just divine knowledge, but profound wisdom and leadership. When the king heard this, he was astounded. He knew instantly that this was no ordinary prisoner. "Bring him to me," he commanded. But Yusuf refused to leave. "Not yet." He sent a message back. "Go back to your king and ask him, what was the case of the women who cut their hands? Indeed, my lord is fully aware of their plot." He would not accept a pardon. He demanded full exoneration. His honor and integrity had to be restored publicly before he would take a single step out of that prison. The king investigated. The truth was finally revealed, and Yusuf's name was cleared for all to hear. Only then did he emerge from the darkness of the prison into the light of freedom and justice. The king, recognizing his unparalleled wisdom and integrity, said, "Indeed, you are today with us, established and trustworthy." He placed Yusuf in charge of the storehouses of the land. From the depths of a well, to the humiliation of slavery, to the despair of a prison cell, Yusuf, peace be upon him, was raised to one of the highest positions in the land, not by human hands, but by the perfect plan of the Almighty. The journey of Prophet Yusuf is a profound reminder for every one of us. There is good in every hardship. The days you felt broke, the days you grieved, the days you wanted to give it all up. That was the time you found something priceless. You found your strength in the Almighty. His story teaches us that integrity is a light that can never be extinguished, that choosing the difficult path of righteousness over the easy path of sin is a victory in itself. It teaches us that human plans may fail, and people may forget, but God's plan is always in motion. Delays are not denials. Every moment of waiting, every tear of patience, is an investment in a future you cannot yet see. So when you feel trapped, when you feel forgotten, when the truth seems buried, remember the prophet of patience. Turn to your Lord, just as he did, and trust that he is the best of planners. For he can turn any prison into a palace, and any trial into a triumph. 7 lessons from Yusuf, peace be upon him. 1. Choose prison over sin. Short pain beats long regret. 2. Seek Allah's protection. Desire is managed by dua before discipline. 3. Do Dawah with care. Serve hearts before solving problems. 4. Speak truth plainly, even when interpretation hurts. 5. Plan long term. Store in seasons of plenty, ration in scarcity. 6. Demand justice, not just relief. Clear your name before stepping forward. 7. Trust divine timing. Delays are doors you cannot yet see. Dua inspired by this story. O Allah, turner of hearts, grant us the integrity of Yusuf, peace be upon him, the patience of Yaqub, peace be upon him, and the courage to choose hardship over sin. Protect us from whispered plots and hidden pitfalls. Open for us doors of lawful provision, and clear our names with truth. Make our work worship, our plans wise, and our tests a path to you. Accept our small deeds as you accepted theirs. Guide our steps, forgive our slips, and make us people of Sabron Jamil. Ameen. Comment your intention. Where will you choose prison over sin? What long arc plan will you begin this week? What truth do you need to clear before your next step? Kindly hit subscribe to see more videos. Like, to inspire me to do more, and share because you care.